Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! The old house creaked and groaned as the wind whistled through its aging frame. Lucian sat on his bed, staring at the empty closet across the room where his sister's belongings once resided. Ariana had moved out weeks ago, leaving behind only memories and a lingering scent of her perfume. He sighed, running a hand through his shaggy brown hair. The silence in the house was deafening now that Ariana was gone. Despite their constant bickering, he missed her presence, even her incessant teasing. "Come on, Lucy," she'd say, using that irritating nickname she'd given him years ago. "I bet you'd look fabulous in my old prom dress. It would bring out your eyes." Lucian would always roll those eyes in response, scoffing at the mere suggestion. But now, alone in the quiet house, a curiosity stirred within him. He found himself drawn to Ariana's old room, his feet moving of their own accord. The door creaked open, revealing a space that seemed frozen in time. Ariana's posters still adorned the walls, and her vanity was cluttered with forgotten makeup and hair accessories. Lucian's gaze settled on the closet door, slightly ajar. His heart raced as he approached, fingers trembling as he pulled it open. There, hanging in the back, was the dress. The soft lavender fabric shimmered in the dim light, adorned with delicate beadwork that caught the sun's rays filtering through the window. Lucian reached out, his fingertips barely grazing the smooth material. A jolt of electricity seemed to course through him at the contact. He swallowed hard, glancing over his shoulder as if expecting Ariana to materialize and catch him in the act. But he was alone. Completely and utterly alone. With shaking hands, he removed the dress from its hanger. The fabric felt cool and light in his grip, nothing like the stiff jeans and t-shirts he typically wore. Before he could second-guess himself, Lucian stripped off his clothes and stepped into the dress. The zipper proved challenging, but he managed to pull it up most of the way. As he turned to face the full-length mirror on the closet door, his breath caught in his throat. The person staring back at him was different, softer. The lavender color complemented his pale skin, and the cut of the dress accentuated curves he never knew he had. For the first time in his life, Lucian felt right. Tears pricked at the corners of his eyes as he smoothed his hands over the fabric. This feeling, this sense of finally being at home in his own skin, was overwhelming. It was as if a missing piece of himself had suddenly slotted into place.
"Oh,"
he whispered, voice barely audible. "Oh, wow." In that moment, everything changed. The world shifted on its axis, and Lucian knew with absolute certainty that he could never go back to living as he had before. This was who he was meant to be. The next few weeks passed in a blur of research, late-night internet searches, and hushed phone calls. Lucian reached out to online support groups, devoured articles on gender identity, and slowly began to accept the truth he'd been denying for so long. He wasn't Lucian. She was Lucy. Telling her parents was the hardest part. They sat at the kitchen table, confusion and concern etched on their faces as Lucy struggled to find the right words. "Mom, Dad," she began, voice quavering. I need to tell you something important." Her mother reached across the table, taking Lucy's hand in her own. "What is it, sweetheart? You know you can tell us anything." Lucy took a deep breath, squeezing her mother's hand for support. I'm transgender. I'm a woman. I've always been a woman. I didn't know how to say it before. The silence that followed was deafening. Lucy's heart pounded in her chest as she watched her parents exchange glances, processing this revelation. Finally, her father spoke.
Are you sure about this, Lucy?
He stumbled over the name, but the effort was there.
This is a big decision.
Lucy nodded, tears spilling down her cheeks. I've never been more sure of anything in my life, Dad. I know it's a lot to take in, but this is who I am, who I've always been. Her mother stood, circling the table to wrap Lucy in a tight embrace. Oh, sweetheart, she murmured, voice thick with emotion. We love you, no matter what. We just want you to be happy. The relief that washed over Lucy was indescribable. She melted into her mother's arms, sobbing quietly as years of pent-up fear and anxiety released. Her father joined the embrace, his strong arms encircling them both. We're here for you, Lucy, he said softly. Every step of the way. The journey that followed was not an easy one. There were countless doctor's appointments, therapy sessions, and difficult conversations with friends and extended family. Lucy began hormone replacement therapy, watching with a mixture of excitement and trepidation as her body slowly began to align with her true self. Ariana was surprisingly supportive, flying home from college to be there for her sister during the early stages of her transition. She helped Lucy shop for new clothes, taught her the basics of makeup, and offered a sympathetic ear when the challenges seemed overwhelming. I always knew there was something special about you, Lucy, Ariana said one evening as they sat on her bed, flipping through fashion magazines. I just didn't have the words for it back then. Lucy smiled, leaning her head on her sister's shoulder. Is that why you always tried to get me to wear your clothes? Ariana laughed, the sound warm and comforting. Maybe subconsciously, or maybe I just wanted to torture my little sibling. Who knows? As the months passed, Lucy blossomed. Her hair grew longer, softening the angles of her face. The hormones reshaped her body, giving her the curves she'd always dreamed of. She found a new confidence in herself, standing taller and smiling more freely. Work presented its own set of challenges. Lucy had been employed at a local bookstore for years, and while her coworkers were generally supportive, customers weren't always as understanding. She endured misgendering, confused stares, and the occasional cruel comment. But for every negative interaction, there were moments of unexpected kindness. Like the elderly woman who complimented her earrings and called her young lady without a second thought. Or the group of teenage girls who asked her advice on which books to read, treating her like any other woman in the store. 1 year into her transition, Lucy stood in front of her mirror, hardly recognizing the person staring back at her. Gone was the awkward, uncomfortable young man she'd pretended to be for so long. In his place stood a confident, radiant woman with sparkling eyes and a gentle smile. She ran her hands over the soft fabric of her blouse, marveling at how natural it felt now. The fear and uncertainty that had plagued her in the beginning had faded, replaced by a deep sense of peace and rightness. A knock at the door interrupted her reverie.
Lucy,
Ariana's voice called out. Are you decent? Can I come in? Yeah, come on in, Lucy replied, turning away from the mirror. Ariana burst into the room, a whirlwind of energy as always. She flopped onto Lucy's bed, grinning up at her sister. So, little sis, got any hot date plans for tonight? Lucy rolled her eyes, but couldn't hide her smile. No, Ari. Some of us prefer a quiet night in with a good book. boring, Ariana declared, sitting up. You need to get out there. Show off that gorgeous new you. Oh! Her eyes lit up with sudden inspiration. I know! Why don't you wear my old prom dress? It looked amazing on you before, and now you'd be a total knockout. Lucy froze, memories of that pivotal moment flooding back. I don't know, Ari. That dress holds a lot of meaning for me. It's kind of special. Ariana's expression softened. I know, Lucy. That's why I think you should wear it. Celebrate how far you've come, you know? Tears pricked at Lucy's eyes, and she blinked them away. Maybe you're right, she said softly. It would be nice to wear it again, now that I'm me. With Ariana's encouragement, Lucy retrieved the lavender dress from the back of her closet. As she slipped it on, she was struck by how differently it fit now. Where once it had hung awkwardly on her frame, now it hugged her curves in all the right places. Ariana helped with her makeup and hair, chattering excitedly about potential places they could go. As Lucy gazed at her reflection, she hardly recognized herself. The woman in the mirror was beautiful, confident, and utterly at peace. Oh, Lucy, Ariana breathed, standing behind her. You look absolutely stunning. Lucy turned, embracing her sister tightly. Thank you, she whispered. For everything. For seeing me, even when I couldn't see myself. Ariana hugged her back fiercely. Always, little sis. Always. As they prepared to head out for the evening, Lucy's phone buzzed with a text message. It was from a coworker at the bookstore, a kind-hearted woman named Elena, who had been one of her strongest supporters throughout her transition. Hey, Lucy! We're short-staffed tonight and could really use your help if you're free. No pressure if you have plans, though. Lucy bit her lip, looking down at the beautiful dress she wore. Part of her wanted to go out, to celebrate, and show the world the person she'd become. But another part, the part that had grown stronger and more confident over the past year, knew exactly what she wanted to do. Everything okay? Ariana asked, noticing her sister's hesitation. Lucy nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. Yeah, it's just... They need help at the bookstore. I think I'm going to go in. Ariana's brow furrowed. But the dress, the makeup. We were going to go out and celebrate. I know, Lucy said, reaching out to squeeze her sister's hand. And I love that you want to do that for me. But you know what? This is me celebrating. Being able to go to work as myself, helping people, and doing what I love, that's the best celebration I could ask for. Ariana's expression softened, and she pulled Lucy into another hug. You're amazing, you know that? Go be your fabulous self at work. But next weekend, we're definitely going out dancing. Lucy laughed, the sound light and carefree. Deal. She changed into more practical work attire, but kept the carefully applied makeup and styled hair. As she headed out the door, Lucy caught a glimpse of herself in the hallway mirror. The woman who looked back at her was strong, confident, and unequivocally herself. The bookstore was busy when Lucy arrived, the evening crowd browsing the shelves and lounging in the cozy reading nooks. Elena greeted her with a relieved smile, quickly bringing her up to speed on the night's events. As Lucy moved through the store, helping customers and recommending books, she felt a sense of belonging that went beyond just being comfortable in her own skin. This was her place in the world, where she could make a difference, no matter how small. An hour into her shift, a young teenager approached the counter, clutching a book to her chest. Her eyes were red-rimmed, and she seemed nervous as she placed the book on the counter. Lucy recognized the title immediately. It was a well-known young adult novel featuring a transgender protagonist. She smiled gently at the girl, ringing up the purchase without comment. As she handed over the bag, the girl hesitated. She began, voice barely above a whisper. Do you think it gets better? Being different, I mean. Lucy's heart ached for the young girl, recognizing the pain and uncertainty in her eyes. She leaned in slightly, speaking softly but with conviction. It does, she said. It gets so much better. It's not always easy, and there will be tough days, but being true to yourself, living as the person you know you are inside, that's worth everything. The girl's eyes widened, a glimmer of hope shining through the tears. Really? Lucy nodded, smiling warmly. Really? And you're not alone, okay? There are so many people out there who will love and support you for exactly who you are. The teenager clutched the book to her chest, a tentative smile breaking through. Thank you, she whispered, before hurrying out of the store. As Lucy watched her go, she felt a profound sense of gratitude wash over her. For her family, who had stood by her side. For friends like Elena, who had accepted her without question. For Ariana, whose teasing had inadvertently set her on this path of self-discovery. But most of all, she was grateful for herself, for having the courage to embrace her true identity, to live authentically despite the challenges. Lucy knew that her journey was far from over, that there would be more obstacles to face and battles to fight. But standing there in the bookstore, surrounded by stories of countless lives and adventures, she felt ready to face whatever came next. As the night wore on, Lucy found herself lost in the rhythm of work. She recommended books to eager readers, organized displays, and even led an impromptu story time when a group of children begged for just one more tale before closing. It was nearing midnight when Elena approached her, a mischievous glint in her eye. So, she began, leaning against the counter. A little bird told me you were all dressed up to go out tonight. What changed your mind? Lucy laughed, shaking her head. Let me guess. The little bird's name is Ariana? Elena grinned, not even bothering to deny it. She might have sent me a text, said something about making sure her little sister wasn't working too hard on what was supposed to be a celebration night. A warmth bloomed in Lucy's chest at her sister's concern. It's fine, really. Being here, doing this, it feels right. It feels like me. Elena's expression softened. You know, I've worked with you for years, Lucy, even before your transition, and I've never seen you as happy and comfortable as you are now. It's like you're finally you. Tears pricked at Lucy's eyes, and she blinked them away. That means a lot, Elena. Really. As they began the closing procedures, turning off lights, and locking up, Lucy found herself reflecting on the journey that had brought her to this moment. The fear and uncertainty of those early days seemed like a distant memory now, replaced by a deep-seated confidence and sense of purpose. She thought about the young girl from earlier, clutching that book like a lifeline. Lucy silently vowed to be the kind of person that girl could look up to, strong, authentic, and unafraid to live her truth. As she stepped out into the cool night air, Lucy took a deep breath, savoring the sense of possibility that seemed to hang in the atmosphere. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, and she smiled as she read the text from Ariana. Hope work was good, sis. Don't forget, dancing next weekend. No excuses. Lucy typed out a quick reply, promising to clear her schedule. As she walked home, her steps light and purposeful, she felt a surge of excitement for what the future held. There would be challenges, certainly. The world wasn't always kind to those who dared to be different. But Lucy knew she had the strength to face whatever came her way. She had found herself, after all, and that was worth celebrating, every single day. Weeks turned into months, and Lucy continued to flourish in her new life. She threw herself into her work at the bookstore, eventually being promoted to assistant manager. Her knowledge of literature and her warm, approachable demeanor made her a favorite among customers and coworkers alike. Outside of work, Lucy expanded her social circle, joining a local LGBTQ+ support group where she found friendship and understanding. She even started volunteering at a youth center, offering guidance and support to young people struggling with their own identities. One sunny Saturday afternoon, as Lucy was arranging a new window display at the bookstore, a familiar voice called out behind her. "Excuse me, miss? I'm looking for a book recommendation." Lucy turned, a grin spreading across her face as she recognized her sister. Ariana stood there, trying and failing to keep a straight face. "Very funny, Ari," Lucy said, rolling her eyes good-naturedly. "What are you doing here? I thought you had a big project due this week." Ariana shrugged, perching on the edge of a nearby table. "Finished early. Thought I'd come see my favorite sister in action. Plus," she added, her eyes twinkling with mischief, "I have a favor to ask." Lucy raised an eyebrow, instantly suspicious. "Oh, and what might that be?" "Well," Ariana began, twirling a strand of hair around her finger. "Remember that prom dress? The one that started it all?" Lucy's heart skipped a beat at the mention of the dress. "Of course. What about it?" "I was wondering if I could borrow it," Ariana said, her voice taking on a wheedling tone. "There's this charity gala coming up, and I thought it would be perfect." For a moment, Lucy was speechless. The idea of parting with the dress, even temporarily, made her chest tight with anxiety. It had become more than just a piece of clothing. It was a symbol of her journey, a tangible reminder of the moment everything changed. Ariana must have sensed her hesitation because she quickly backtracked. "It's okay if you don't want to. I know it means a lot to you. I just thought, well, it would be nice to have a piece of you there with me, you know?" Lucy's expression softened at her sister's words. She reached out, squeezing Ariana's hand. "It does mean a lot to me," she said softly. "But you know what? It means even more that you want to wear it, that you see it as a connection between us." Ariana's eyes widened. "So, is that a yes?" Lucy laughed, nodding. "Yes, you can borrow the dress, on one condition." "Name it," Ariana said eagerly. "You have to let me help you get ready for the gala. Hair, makeup, the works." Ariana's face lit up with a brilliant smile. "Deal! Oh, Lucy, thank you." She threw her arms around her sister, nearly knocking over a stack of books in her enthusiasm. As Lucy hugged her back, she realized that letting go of the dress didn't feel like losing anything. Instead, it felt like sharing a part of herself with the person who had always seen her, even when she couldn't see herself. The night of the gala arrived, and Lucy found herself in Ariana's apartment, surrounded by a whirlwind of fabric, makeup, and hair products. The lavender dress hung on the back of the bedroom door, seeming to shimmer with memories and possibilities. "Are you sure about this?" Ariana asked for the 100th time, as Lucy carefully applied her eyeshadow. "I know how much this dress means to you." Lucy smiled, meeting her sister's gaze in the mirror. "I'm sure, Ari. It feels right, you know? Like the dress is moving forward, just like I did." Ariana's eyes misted over, and she blinked rapidly. "Don't you dare make me cry," she warned. "You'll ruin all your hard work." Laughing, Lucy put the finishing touches on Ariana's makeup. "All right, drama queen, let's get you into that dress." As Ariana slipped into the gown, Lucy was struck by how different it looked on her sister. Where it had once been a catalyst for Lucy's self-discovery, now it was simply a beautiful dress on a confident woman. The symbolism wasn't lost on her. "You look amazing," Lucy said softly, helping Ariana with the zipper. Ariana turned, her eyes shining with emotion. "Thank you, Lucy. Not just for the dress, but for everything. For being you. For showing me what real courage looks like." Lucy felt tears pricking at her own eyes, and she pulled her sister into a tight hug. "I couldn't have done it without you," she whispered. "You've always been my biggest supporter, even when you didn't realize it." As Ariana left for the gala, twirling one last time in the doorway, Lucy felt a sense of closure. The dress that had once represented her hidden desires now symbolized growth, acceptance, and the unbreakable bond between sisters. Later that night, as Lucy curled up on her couch with a good book, her phone buzzed with a text from Ariana. It was a selfie, her sister beaming at the camera in the lavender dress, surrounded by friends at the gala. The caption read, "Channeling my amazing sister tonight. Love you, Lucy." Lucy smiled, her heart full of love and gratitude. She typed out a quick reply. "Love you too, Ari. Always." As she set her phone aside and returned to her book, Lucy felt a profound sense of peace wash over her. The journey she had embarked on that day, when she first tried on Ariana's dress, had led her here, to a life filled with love, authenticity, and endless possibilities, and she wouldn't change a single step of that journey for the world.
Thanks for watching, my girlies! Be sure to check out Patreon for more!